Well, hell, sunshine. We're a little out of order. Not necessarily today. I had another thing out of order. I apologize for that. I've been trying to do this kind of one step at a time. And originally what I wanted to do was see how much power we could put in this saw without taking the saw apart. No porting, no nothing, just exhaust, timing, one thing and another. And of course we know I ruin some cylinders from time to time. You got to bust a few eggs, don't you? So this saw's actually got the bearing pockets cut and 25 thousandths removed off the base. I apologize for getting that out of order so we don't have a total deal to run the dyno every time. But we're going to see what we can do on the timing. We've already put the exhaust on there. That got a good gain. We've already done an intake block on the other saw. It was just like this. I've got two of them, and it got a gain, at least no loss. Part of the gain could be attributed to the different air filter. But anyhow, I digress. So we're going to get to the timing on this today. We'll have a before dyno run of this iteration, and I'll stick her back on my dyno, and we'll see what we can do with some gains. Been a little bit since I had this apart, but I don't think this has a proper key in it. I think it's got a, I think what it's got is a cast key into it. Of course, everybody sees these little nuts with wings on them. They make a pretty nice deal for pecking on the end of that to do that. Now, I've got some of these. One of them's cross-threaded. I don't know if it's this one or not. Yep, that there ain't no count. Husqvarna made those little deals. They screw right on. Let me grab a different one. This one here is hopefully good. Husqvarna made these. They screw right on that end of that crankshaft where that nut goes. And they're for pecking it. They're for pecking and beating too. Works fine, lasts long time, doesn't it? Yes, and we're right. Our keyway is cast right into this on this one. I'm gonna throw that one not back in that box, but over there. Our keyway's cut into that. Now, guys, to advance the flywheel, not trying to be too. Guys, I'm not trying to be too remedial for some, but I do want this channel to be for people too that's just starting. To advance a flywheel, you want to turn that flywheel in the direction that the crankshaft's turning. If I turn it farther ahead, that means the flywheel will get to the coil ahead of where it would have used to in accordance with the crankshaft. So to advance the timing, you turn the flywheel in the direction that it was. So that would mean when you're filing this, if you're filing this key that's built inside here, you need to take it off of the side that's holding it from rotating forward. So if I'm trying to rotate the flywheel this direction, I've got it backwards how it was, so it's like this. We'll keep turning it. Well, it was like this. So we're trying to turn it like this, which is this way. Now when we turn that around, of course, it's backwards, it's this way. So what would keep that from turning this way? Well, it'd be this side of the key, wouldn't it? That's what you're hitting against. So that's the side of the key you're going to file. And this isn't too thick. I prefer them with a keyway in them. Excuse me, hiccups. I prefer them with a keyway in them because I'll just take that key out and lose it. It's usually what I do. I put it up where I won't lose it, and I ain't never found where that place is at yet. Man, if I ever find that, there's a gold mine of stuff here I'm looking for. But anyhow, I digress. I'm going to pull out my little files. I'm going to file this. I'm not going to ask you guys to watch along. I'm going to try to measure that. I'll let you know what I took out of it. But we're going to see if we got any gains. I'm not going to take a terrible lot out. Now, if you don't mess with the back side of that, when you go tighten this flywheel up, you can put a stop. You can always rotate it. Nice thing about not messing with the backside key, you can always rotate it backwards, can't you? I also want to let you know everything we've done in this saw and everything we're going to continue to do, I'll keep in a playlist. So if you want to see Next thing we're going to do after this is the lower transfers. We're going to do some messing with them transfers and these caps here. I think that'll be next on this saw. We've already took 25 thousandths out of the bearing pockets and the base. Got us a iron horse pipe. Got us a stock aftermarket cylinder versus a stock OEM cylinder. We've got heat runs, fuel consumption runs, and dyno runs on a lot of that stuff. Not heat and fuel on every run, because it takes me a little bit longer to set up for that. Sometimes I'm just not that curious. But anyhow, everything being applied last along with this here. If you want to see it, go back and get it. Appreciate you guys being here. Anybody that's new, I'm going to get this ground up. We're going to put her together, see if we can get her to start, see what she sounds like, and get her snacked onto the dyno right quick. Now, it's not going to hurt to mention, number two, I got all my 4/0 spectacles so I can really see what I'm doing in here. Like, well, why is that so important? You're just filing away an unknown amount of metal. Well, whether it's removable or whether it's cast into the flywheel, a lot of people call that a shear key because, well, that's what we know stuff as, right? That's common terminology. To somebody that doesn't know any better or is not aware yet, those are not a shear key in a flywheel. That is not to keep that flywheel from turning. It's not to hold that flywheel in place. That is a locating key, is all that is. So that being said, well, what keeps it from turning on there, right? Well, it's this tapered smooth hole that fits the tapered smooth crankshaft, right? That's what causes that lock. That shear key is not a shear key. It's just a locating key is all it's for, just to make sure you can get that flywheel back on there in the same spot every time. Why is that important? Why am I making a big deal out of that? Well, when you're going to filing this up, you don't want to just be hacking and gouging at it like you would with a double bit axe, because you don't want to mess up that surface in there. You still need that to hold. This little bit of cheesy aluminum I'm filing out of there, it don't have enough strength to do anything. It's just to locate. It's all it's for. So sorry, got sidetracked, digressing there a little bit. I've probably got a third of that key off, which is probably 20, 30 thousandths. Don't even know what it is. We're just going to put her in there and see if we get any gain, though. I think we're going to clean that out, make sure we don't have any aluminum shavings in there, because that needs to be clean on that shaft. I'd rather put an engine together dirty than put this shaft on there dirty. She just won't hold. And I don't want to scratch it up, don't want to score it up, and I want to clean. But I think probably next time you have to look at me, we'll be starting it up here in a minute, hopefully. Well, I lied. I'm going to jump back in there one more time, show you another little trick I use sometimes. Now, see, now this flywheel will move on that crankshaft now, right? I don't have it snugged down, but it will move against that locating key. Now, you can either shove some starter rope or something in the top of it. What I'll do is I'll just put my clutch wrench on this side. That way I can hold that slack against that, and I don't have to put nothing up. I can hold that with my thumb. I can hold that slack forward and give her an ugga-dugga, I've heard it called. Give her hell easy, what I always say. And Bob's your uncle. We got her on there. So hopefully next time you'll see me, we'll be starting it. Bear with me. Put up with me, guys. I appreciate it. I'm just, this slipshod organization here. It's been a week or two since it's been fired up. It's cold, so we'll have egg on my face. Now, I guess I could edit it out. What's this just start up? runs. That's all I can say for it. There's some of you guys that could, there's some of you guys that can listen to I'll take my earplugs out, quit hollering at you. There's some of you guys can listen to daggum chainsaw over a CB radio 20 miles away and tell if the tune's out. I can have it in my hands and I don't know. That's why I built my dyno, I guess. And that's why I mess up so much stuff. Let's get her on dyno where I can get it warmed up. That's the reason the lid's not on it, because, well, I always got to put my daggum thermocouple in there and I got to feed that through the hole in the lid when I put her on dyno, so I'm not going to run it too long. They'll get hot quick without the lid on. And I'll probably not do fuel consumption or anything on this in here. We'll probably just do a dyno chart because, well, let's face it, I'm lazy, and this Christmas Eve today, actually, I'm out goofing around the shop, and I'd have to pull the fuel line off of it and get the other fuel line hooked onto it and for fuel consumption. And yeah, I'm probably just not going to do that today. Might. If you guys want to see more of the fuel consumption and stuff, let me know. Or if you want to see the fuel consumption on anything specific, like I'm getting ready to do the lower transfers. Ooh. I didn't do fuel consumption on, I didn't do fuel consumption when I lowered the cylinder either. When I cut the base on that cylinder, I didn't do fuel consumption then. I did do it with the iron horse pipe, but I didn't do it right now with this time, with this. I think we need to get one now with this timing advance. We're going to get us a fuel consumption baseline, because the next thing we're going to do is nasty stuff in these transfers, and we're going to want us a baseline on that fuel consumption and heat run before that, ain't we? Yep, let's do all that. This is us. We can just do whatever the heck we want. Put her in the comments you want to see something stupid or different. It don't always have to be up to me. Well, thanks for coming back, everybody. We got some pretty neat numbers. Never what I expected. That's what I love about daggum having dyno and having the test abilities that I do, is you always hear stuff that, well, you do this, it'll mess up your fuel economy, or you do that, you'll do this. Boy, it's nice to know other than just speculate, isn't it? So let's get right into it. Let's go with our fuel consumption first, our fuel economy. What we're going to compare is the stock 455 aftermarket cylinder with the iron horse pipe. Now, we didn't do one when we cut the base, so the next iteration is going to be we cut 25 thousandths off the bearing pockets in the base and put 2 degrees of ignition timing in there. Both of those two modifications together increased our fuel economy. We went from producing 6.15 horsepower hours per gallon of fuel to 7.93, pretty substantial gain, isn't it? We made that saw a lot more fuel efficient by cutting 25 thousandths off the bearing pockets and putting 2 degrees of ignition in. There's got to be something bad, right? You can't ever have nothing without getting something. Can't ever get something without giving up something. So here's what we're going to give up. Then we'll get to the dyno charts here in a second. But here's what we're going to give up. We're going to give up just a little bit of heat. Both these started out about 242 degrees. I like starting out at about 250. In cold weather like that, with a great big fan blowing on me, it cools down pretty quick. It's hard to get it started right on the money. But they both started right about 242. The blue line is the previous iteration. The red line is a current with 25 thousandths base and 2 degrees ignition timing. And with the previous iteration, we made, what, 3.1-ish horsepower. We pulled this at about 92, 93 RPMs, 9,000, somewhere in there. Whatever it was, I don't remember exactly. It was 6,300 on my tack. And we started out, and we made it up to about 368 degrees. Well, we cut 25 thousandths off the base, put 2 degrees of ignition in there. We bounced up to daggum near 4 horsepower at that RPM, at that load. And we gained a little bit of heat. We climbed a little bit faster. Here in a minute, you see the other one was at 344 degrees Fahrenheit. This one here was at 357 degrees Fahrenheit. Ignore the decimal. It's just so it all fit on the same chart. By the time we got up to about a minute and a half, both of them had pretty well lined out. This one went from 356 at a minute and a half, and in the second minute and a half, it only went to 3.68. So it only gained 12 degrees. The other one hit 371 at a minute and a half and only made it to 381 in the last minute and a half, so it only gained 10 degrees. So it pretty well leveled out, hadn't it? But we did put 68 to 81 is what, 13 degrees. We put 13 more degrees temperature in this saw. We put it up over 375, which is kind of what I'm thinking is probably around a safe point. So we may need to think about what we're going to do about that. And maybe that's not a safe point. You guys let me know. I originally thought under 4 whatever it was safe, but we burned it up. So let's go on to our dyno charts. Now, the blue line's the previous iteration, as always. I try to. So that was the base minus. Now, we do have a previous iteration on this one different than the heat runs. This one here, we did do a dyno on the 25 thousandths off the base. So now we can separate out the 2 degrees timing. I wish I'd have done all the externals first, but I didn't. So the blue line's base cut of 25 thousandths and an iron horse pipe. We made 3.85 horsepower and 2.68 foot-pounds of torque. Now, we put 2 degrees ignition timing in there is all we did. And we went up to 4.09 horsepower at 2.81 foot-pounds of torque. So we put in 0.13 foot-pounds of torque and 2.4, almost a quarter horsepower, what we gained. It liked that ignition. I don't know that it won't like more. I just did about 2 degrees is what I'm calling it. Now, it never hurts. Let's go back, and now we've got 3 lines. We're getting a little bit busy. The red line is our base minus 25 thousandths plus the iron horse pipe plus 2 degrees ignition time in our current saw. The blue line was the stock 455. It was a different stock saw 455, but it's the only stock 455 I have that's valid numbers. So we're going to use that one. But that's not this cylinder. This cylinder was actually an aftermarket cylinder, and it started out down here at the green line. 3.0 horsepower, 2.09, and now we're up to 2.09 foot-pounds of torque. So we put 0.72 foot-pounds of torque in it and 1.09 horsepower in this saw with just those 3 things. Working on the base, putting an iron horse pipe on it, and putting 2 degrees ignition timing in it. So guys, I wish I keep kicking myself. I keep apologizing. I'm sorry. I wish I wouldn't have took 25 thousandths out of the bearing pockets first, but I was actually working on that for the next cylinder when I ruined the other cylinder. So I'm sorry about that. It kind of got out of order, but it's just how it is. And I'm never going to have that again. And well, no, I probably will, because I'll ruin this cylinder. If I ever ruin this cylinder, I'll go back and try to get a base run plus the iron horse pipe plus 2 degrees so we can determine what we can maybe expect to gain without taking the saw apart. I hope everybody, I try not to be too remedial for the guys that's good at saws, which I'm not, and I try not to be too advanced for the guys that are trying to get the confidence to do a saw. So I'm trying to take different steps in here, guys. Tell me what you think. Appreciate it. If I earned her, give her the old hitchhiker. If I didn't, mash your Julius Caesar on me. Consider subscribing. You probably already have, and if you have, man, I appreciate you guys. And comment, man, I love the comments. We're getting an awesome comment section. Don't think I've missed a return on one yet. So guys, we're pretty friendly down there, come and welcoming, and everybody down there is welcoming. So I appreciate her, guys. Catch you on the next one.